Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe
See
this is,
class.
yeah,
Yes.
this is like, this is half of my class.
Okay. Hello,
Okay.
everyone.
So, so I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, I'm gonna pin you for the students so that you can, they can just see you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But you can see the students, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So, um, I'm really excited to have Bula with us. And, you know, she's been speaking in the Spirit Realm class. I've also, you know, she's also done healing for me as well, from Sacramento. And, you know, she's now also working with United, you know, the Shaman Lord with her organization. And she'll talk more about and long time um, Hmong shaman in this area, and sorry, I'm doing not a good job of bio, but you'll explain a lot more about what you do and what you're up to, and I just consider her, you know, as like the next generation of shamans,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's accessible for a younger generation, and she herself is a trailblazer as a woman shaman, and yes, I cannot speak more, um, you know, say more wonderful things about Lular. And so, with no further ado, please go ahead. You have the audience.
All right. Well, thank you for having me again, you guys. I appreciate it. I'm happy that you are interested in hearing me again this season or this semester. Again, as your professor said, I've been a shaman of myself for the last almost 20 years now. I'm a founder of United Hmong Shaman Temple. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see my screen, okay? So let's see if I can share my screen. Let me share my screen and then I'll continue on. Um, so again, it looks like it's working slowly. So as soon as you guys can see it, let me know that you see my screen. This is the beauty of us, or the technical issues when we're away and not in class. Um, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you can see.
Okay.
Oh, no, we can see you, but you have to share this like maybe.
I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see it? Let's see if it's look like.
Let me. I don't know why. Um, okay, try sharing again.
Okay, I'm gonna share. For the past 6 to 7 years now, and so I wanna our vision as United Hmong Shaman Temple is really we are trying to provide the shaman spiritual healing, and then also practice shamans. We are preserving those and also providing spiritual healing. The Hmong shamans the way of we practice, and the way of the shamans as a Hmong shaman. So we are a nonprofit organization located here in Sacramento. Today, professors Kelly want me to talk a little bit about our role as a shaman, and then also give you as a healer, as a shaman healer, and how the spirituals aspect or the spiritual world impact our mental health and well-being. So I will give you a little history, a little history about the Hmong people, and then from there on, I will talk about our role as a Hmong shamans in the community, and how the spiritual world or all the spirits and also had a big impact to us as an individuals in our mental health and our beings. Okay, so as we are again, I'm a Hmong, and we come from Laos, so we of course native China. We kind of migrated to Laos, and then here in the United States. So our belief, we believe in animism, and so because we believe in animisms, we believe that everything has a spirits, and so the spiritual world and the physical world coexist. When the physical world experience a misfortunes or illness, it has to do with the fact that there is a disturbance or there is a shift in the spiritual world that impacted the physical world, and that's why it causes people illness and misfortunes. So that's our belief. And we also believe that there are many different types of spirits that we live among them, they live among us. So because we believe in that, we practice shamanism. And what is a shaman? So we practice shamanism, and the healing is done by shamans, what in our case are Hmong shamans. And in order to become a shaman, one has to go through great lengths. And they experience life and death experience. They have illness and that cannot be healed by medications and doctors. So many of these shamans are again experience a life and death situations before they actually master their spiritual healing. One cannot suddenly decide to be a healing or a shaman. A shaman, it is being chosen by the spirits. So they have to be chosen, and when they're chosen, it causes a lot of illness, and then they seek for help. That's how they seek from help from prior shamans or experienced shamans, and so they were able to communicate to the spiritual world, identify that individual actually had a spiritual calling, and from there on, that individual can seek a path or seek for a master who can guide them so that they can slowly master their practice and their healing, and be able to master their spirits. So it takes a lot of times from the time someone can say, hey, we're able to identify or being assessed that they do have a spiritual calling. It's anywhere between 3 to 4 years before you 1 to 4 years, depending how quickly your shaman's spirits guide you and how often you practice. If you, just like when we go into school, if you take a semester or 2 semester off, you're not going to finish your degree on time. But if you continue to go to school every semester and do well in all your courses, you will definitely graduate on time. If it said your bachelor degree will be done in 4 years, if you continue to go to school without skipping semester, continue to pass all your classes, you should be done within the times given to you. And so becoming a shaman, in order for you to master your shaman spirits, it's pretty much the same. How often you practice with your spirits, that's how quickly and how soon you can master, So it's pretty much like that. So for Hmong shamans, again, they need to be chosen, and they need to, once they're chosen, they will seek for a master, and a master will guide them until they become a master of their own. Okay, and so they experience great length of sickness. They experience life and death experiences before they can really become, a great shaman. So again, because we believe in animism, we practice shamanism, and the Hmong community had a shaman comes through to the families to perform or to assess if they need help, if there's any type of illness in the family. A shamans will assess what was happening in the spiritual world, and then they will do their healing ceremony. Okay. In that, how is it that it impacts, how would the spiritual world impact our mental health? When the spiritual world is out of balance and they're not in sync with the physical world, again, the spiritual world and the physical world coexist side by side. The law of the universe has already been written, saying, hey, when the spiritual world is out of balance, these are the consequence, or these are the illness, or this is what the misfortune is in the physical world, so that, you know, this physical world or the land of the living know how to go seek help, and so that, you know, we have people go into the spiritual world to fix the spiritual world, so that they both are now in sync and coexist side by side in harmony. So when the spiritual side or the spiritual world is not in sync, or it is shift, then it causes the individuals to experience or be more attracted to evil spirits, attracted to negative energy, and all these negative things impact us, our body, impact us mentally and physically. Because when the physical world is out of balance, if the spiritual world is out of balance, our physical world now, it's also experience misfortune, and those misfortune will come in a way, in a form, whether it's a mental issue, physical, causes you to be ill, or causes you to be mentally unstable, because then you start exposed to lots of negative energies that causes your mental issue, problems or mental health to the individuals. And also, if you are having spiritual calling, this can also be at times an opportunity that you as an individual would be experience all these issues, where you can now go out and seek for help to see if you do have a spiritual calling at this point. So the spiritual world has a big play in the physical world. Anything in sync in the it's not in sync in the spiritual world, it will cause us a shift in the physical world. It causes misfortune, it causes illness, and it causes our issues to our mental stabilities. So that's why we as a healers, as a shaman healer, we will assess it. When people comes in, they talk about how they don't, they feel negative about their life, they feel of dying, they feel like they don't want to live any further. We usually assess it and to find out why they feeling that way. And a lot of the time it has to do with their soul. Okay? So we as a shamans then will heal the soul. And so within that, we're moving into the soul. So we shamans, we heal the soul. Okay? The souls of the individuals. So before I move talking about healing the soul, I wanted to explain a little bit about the soul and the spirits. There is a difference between the soul and the spirits. A spirit can be can never be a soul, but a soul can be a spirit. Okay, so what does that mean is that a soul coexists, or a soul is associated with life. A spirit does not associate with life. What do I mean by that? Is that when for example, when a mother is pregnant with a child, that child does not have a soul yet. It is still a spirit. It cannot survive by itself. It's not associated to life yet. It still needs the mother. It breathes through the mother. It feeds through the mother. So therefore, it is still considered a spirit. The minute a child is born, it takes its first breath of air. It is now having a soul. It becomes a soul. Okay? And the soul exists with life. The minute a spirit take a baby born, it take the first breath of life. It is now human. It is now exists in the physical world, in the land of the living, and so it now had a soul. Okay, life vanished when someone died. Life end, but the soul moved on as a spirit, and that's why a soul will be a spirit, can be a spirit, but a spirit can never be a soul unless it exposed to life itself, meaning it has to be born and it has to take the life form in the physical world in order to consider a soul. Okay, and then so we as a shaman's healer, we heal the soul of the individual. We have many different types of spirits, many types of soul or spirits, but there are three main soul that we as the Hmong shamans heal the individual when they have mental unstable, the mental health issue, physical illness, and any misfortunes that they experiences. We seek and we looked for the soul. We looked for the ancestor soul to see if there's anything wrong with the ancestor, and then we also assess it to see if that individual's been attracted with negative energy, if their soul's been captured by evil spirits or evil doing, you know. So we as a shaman, we will assess, and those are what we would heal. The soul, we have the three main soul that we as a shaman heal the most is the wandering soul, the incarnation soul, and the ancestor soul. These are the three that we shamans would heal the most. Or when anybody experience any misfortunes, any illness, physical, whether it's physical or mental illness, we will seek in this three soul. When we are alive, when an individual, when we are alive, the wonder soul is the one that causes us the most headaches, and it's the one that causes us the most problems in the physical world. But it also, it's a soul that open the humans to learn. You know, it's also a soul that continue in the curiosities of this soul open up the individuals to continues to be more curiosity and motivations, and to drive you to learn more, to become better. This soul is also that soul, and it's also a soul that can cause a lot of headaches and a lot of issue because it wonders. It always wonders, and it attracts all kind of energies and all kind of spirits. So what do I mean by that is when we sleep at night, our body is completely relaxed. That individual soul will leave the body and will wander off. And that's why we dreams about people that we have not see them for ages, people who passed for many years ago, and you meet your friends and relatives, you know, and people you don't know. And so it wanders off, and when it wanders off, it can be captures by evil spirits. It can be attract negative energies, and so it brings a lot of illness to the individuals when we are alive. Okay, and this soul, for example, this souls were wonders to the dying world, to the spiritual world in the dying land. For example, and people can die. Okay, for example, we every now and then we heard about people who sleep and they pass. You know, it's because these souls have wandered past and beyond the returning point, and these individuals have nothing more to live in this life. They don't have any hope in this life. They have traveled way beyond, and they cannot return, and that's why they pass when they sleep. Okay. And then the reincarnation soul associated with the wandering soul. If this wander soul has been wandering way too far, it's been captured by evil spirits, then the body, the physical body, will slowly deteriorate. It causes mental health, physical health, and the body slowly deteriorate. These particular reincarnated soul will reassess the body that it exists, and it will leave the body, because the body is truly is just a host for this soul. When the body is no longer function, this soul will seek a way to move on and will reincarnate. When this reincarnate soul is leave the body and looking for a way to reincarnate, we usually have to, when we heal this, we as a shaman heal this, we will also search in the ancestral world, which is will become the ancestor soul. Okay, so these three souls, we as a shaman or Hmong shamans, these are the three souls that we heal the most, and these are the three souls that cause illness to the individuals and cause mental, physical illness in the physical world when it is disturbed, when it has been captured, when it has been lost, and it find it no way, it can't find its way home to the body, to the soul. The soul is lost, then it will deteriorate your body. The reincarnation soul would start leaving your body, and when that soul leave your body, your ancestor soul will leave your body and move into the ancestral realm. So when we fix it, and when this happens, then of course the individual will pass, because the soul is no longer with the body, therefore the physical body will deteriorate. Okay, so our shaman's role is to heal all these souls and to retreat those souls. So what happened when we assess it and we said, hey, because your soul has been lost or has been captured by evil spirits, a shamans will have to go into the individual's home. And what would we do? And we will move into the individual's home, and we would do a soul calling. If your soul has been lost, then and it just doesn't know how to find its way back to your body, we can do a soul calling, what we call it in Hmong Hubli. And then and we can also do a shamanic trance or shamanic healings, where we can retreat your soul. We will search the spiritual world and bring your soul back to your body. And so for this is like when we know that, oh, it's your wonder souls got lost and couldn't find its way back to your body, then we would do that. If your soul, again, if your wonder soul has lost, have no way to come home, it's been captured by evil spirits, then we would have to do a shaman. If it's lost, then we do the soul calling, and we do a shamanic healings to bring back. If your soul has been captured, when a Simon assess it and it said, hey, your soul has been captured by evil spirits, then the shaman has to do a shamanic healing. They have to go through a trance, cross over to the spiritual world, and there go seek for your soul, and then identify who captured your soul, and they have to start doing the negotiation process and start paying dues so that they can let you your soul back, release back. Okay, so that's when, if your soul's been captured, we will have to go to a great length to retrieve your soul. But if your soul just wander off and it got lost, it didn't know what to how to get back to your body, then we'll just do a soul calling. And in some cases, we'll do a shamanic trance to call, to take you back. When your soul get lost and then your body's deteriorated, your wonder souls wander off too long, or it's been captured by evil spirits, then your reincarnation, your body starts deteriorating because of now it causes illness to your physical body, mentally, physically, then your reincarnation will start leaving your body. And when this happens, usually the reincarnation soul will start leaving your body. We're looking about 7 to 10 years. That's how long it takes for your body to deteriorate if you could not find help, or you don't know what's going on. When it starts showing on your physical body, it's because your soul has left your body for a long time, and your body now is already slowly deteriorate to a point where it's now showing in your physical world, or the physical world, which is the physical body. Okay. And then when your soul, reincarnation soul, leave the body, we will do a soul calling. When we assess it and we say, hey, your soul, your wonder soul had left the body. Now your reincarnated soul's already seeking for a new book of life, and it's already on its journey to be reincarnate. Then what we do with that is we will do a shamanic healing. We have to chase that soul all the way to the gates of reincarnations to make sure that we can bring that individual back. After we negotiate it and we bring that soul back to the body, so the process, and we got to go chase. First we chase the wonder soul, bring this wonder soul back to the body. Then we go after the wonder soul, then the reincarnation soul. Then after we bring back the reincarnation soul, we do what we call it a soul calling. This particular soul calling, in Hmong, we call it Hu. This particular soul calling is a very special soul calling, and it is done late at night, like midnight or 11. And the whole purpose of this ritual doing so late at night is that we are trying to capture our soul, or bring this soul back. And if we do it late at night, we have a better chances to bring this soul back without any interruptions, without anybody noticing it, So that's why it is doing so late in the evening. Okay. So after this reincarnation soul, we will go into the ancestral realm. Okay. We would check in the ancestral realm, making sure that the spirits, because this wonder soul already left the body. Now the reincarnated soul's already left the body. Now we also want to make sure that the ancestral soul does not, leave the body. Or if it is, it's in the ancestral realm, and we need to bring that soul back into the body. So we will check in this 3 area. If it's there, we bring the soul back. If it's not, we know that the soul hasn't leave the body. Then we come back and we fix the body. We put all the soul back into the individuals. We bless the soul. We cleanse the body. We do what we need to do to bless the new body, so that whatever they're experiencing, now that they're all in sync, they should be slowly healing. A lot of the time, if this is when the assessment is correct, we didn't even have to go do this healing. The individual already feel better, and they will stop by and say, hey, I feel better already, and I want to go ahead and proceed with the healing process, and then we'll go do the healing. Okay. So what is this ancestral soul? What are the purpose of these 3 soul? Okay. The wandering soul, again, this wonder soul is just a curiosity soul. It opened us to learn more. It opened us to wanted to learn more, want to understand the world more. We learn more, but it also wander off, causes issues to us. And then the other soul, which is the incarnation soul, it whole purpose is to be reincarnated, because we believe that when someone passed, they will reincarnate. No one have gone to heaven yet. We are not people that live in heaven, therefore we will never move to heaven. We will go, once someone passed, those who lived in the living world or in the physical world, your role, and you are purposely made to live in the living world or in the physical world, and you will not move to heaven. And so your soul will go, once someone passed, the wonder soul will wander off. They don't remember much. They just become the wonder soul, and they can reincarnate to rock, trees, and whatever. The minute they see whatever they see, the first day they leave your body. Some of them just become wandering soul. The reincarnation soul, the whole purpose of that is to reincarnate to the next life, you know. And then the ancestor soul, that's the soul that it stay with the body of the grave. When we, because we worship our ancestor, we believe that if we are in need of any help, it is that soul that help us. It is that soul that are our loved one. That soul, one day, when the physical world and the spiritual world become one, that's the day where the human world or the spiritual world and those of us that live in the living world or the land of the living can then go to heaven. When the physical world and the spiritual become one, then all the dead soul of your ancestor who lived, who wait and stay with that body in the grave, will go into the body, and everyone then will become alive, and then everyone then can go to heaven. But as of this point, we are the humans, and we live in the human world. We live in the living land of the living, or this physical world, and therefore when we pass, we will come back to this physical world until that day where I just said, when the physical world and the spiritual world become one, then everyone, those who have passed, their soul will go back to their body, and they will retract it, and they will come alive, and then everyone then can live as in heaven. Okay, until then, we believe that everybody go up there and come back and be reborn. So that's why the ancestor, that reincarnation soul, their purpose is that. And then our ancestral soul is the soul that stayed with the body and waiting for that day to come, so all mankind can then live in heaven. Okay, so those are the three souls that we shamans will fix the most, or we were chasing, or that it associated with the human's or body, the physical world, and it's associated with our mental beings, our mental health, and with the well-beings of our ourself. Okay, and the next one is also something that beside that, another one that we will look to, if we as a shaman assess those three souls, and they were all good, there's no issue with them, but that individual is experiencing mental issue, mental health, mental well-beings, and physical illness, then the next options we will explore or assess is the ancestral burial sites. Okay, that your ancestral burial sites had a great impact in your well-being. If your ancestral burial sites or the graveyards has been disturbed, it will cause misfortunes and disbalance in the spiritual world and the physical world, and it will cause you mental health and mental illness and physical illness. So we will move into that level, and we will look into the ancestral realms to look at making sure that there's nothing's being disturbed. What do I mean by disturbed? If your ancestors' burial sites has been built on top of it, or someone dig on it, or there may have digging mean the human dig it, or animal dig, like groundhogs or whatever happen to dig a hole into your ancestors' burial site, or the roots of a tree may have penetrated through their graveyard, the grave. These are the stuff that will cause misfortunes to the living. When we talked about the disturbance of the grave of your ancestor, and then also tragic death. It's also another assessments that we as the shamans would look into. If we look at the burial sites of your ancestors and they seems to be live in harmony, no issue, then we looked in the tragic death of your ancestor on your loved one. because we believe that people will, when people pass, they go back and reincarnate. Those who die tragically will not be able to reincarnate. And so if they cannot reincarnate, it will cause a shift in the spiritual world, and it will cause misfortunes in the physical world. What do I mean by tragic death? Tragic death can be, die of a gunshot wound, a suicidal death, hanging yourself, die of in a war, die in like overdose, anything that takes your life so quickly and you didn't notice. And also, if they die in a really great, like for example, people who had stroke and who are not mobile, when they pass, they will not be able to walk and care for themselves. So you got to make sure that also being fixed in the spiritual world, so that individual can move, they can fend for themselves, they can care for themselves. If they can't do that, it will cause us a shift in the spiritual world, and it will cause misfortune in the physical world as well. So we also look into that. Once we look into all of these, then we will definitely find something that causes issues to the individual, whether it's a mental health issue, whether it's a illness issues, or a misfortunes. Sometimes people have misfortune like miscarriage. They have continued having miscarriage. It could also have some great things to do with their ancestor. They continue to lose job. They continue. It seems like they do really good, but then suddenly it just went sour. Things like that. I consider misfortune. You have to look into it to find out what really is happening in your ancestral realm, and what's really happening in the spiritual world, that you can fix, that you can help to balance it, so that both sides can live in harmony, and whatever you want can then be yours. And so we, as a shaman, as a Hmong shaman, that's our role in the community. We have people coming in because they experience all kind of misfortunes. Husbands and wife has conflict, continue having conflict, because they, on little things that it shouldn't, when it shouldn't be at the level they are, but escalate to a point where they wanted to divorce for something so little. Things like this has something to do with your ancestral various sites, or has something to do with the shift in your ancestral realm. So we have to kind of look into that and fix that, so that you can live in harmony in the physical world. And those are just a couple of the examples that people comes to us, Hmong shamans especially, to ask for help, and we will assess. Moving from that, now again, we assess the individual souls, right? The three souls, which is the wonder soul, the incarnation soul, and the ancestor soul. And then we assess, we move on. If nothing wrong with that, we move and we assess the grade of their ancestral. We check to make sure there's no tragic death in the individual's family or lineage. And then the next one is that we also believe that there's many other spirits outside of what I just spoke. And then so we also believe that we have spirits in our home, the house spirits, that also help us, protect us. And so they sometimes, if they've been disturbed, and that can also cause a shift in the spiritual world, and it can also cause illness to us in the physical world. So we check the spirit in our home. We have a God who guardians our door, making sure that no one's have disturbed them, and so we have guardian, like the God of the kitchens, and God of who take care of, God of wealth, and so we have all these within our house, our feng shuis inside our house. We want to make sure that those are also balanced, there's nothing disturbed. So if that is all good, then we, again, remember I told you we believe in animism, so we believe that everything has spirits, the good spirits and the bad spirits. Once nothing wrong in the house, then we explore into nature's spirits. protectors of wildlife like caves and rivers. You know, if you are someone who like outdoors so much and you continue going outdoor, but you also experience loss of misfortunes, then we need to kind of look to see if you have run into any protectors or any guardians of the forest or river or cave, you know, because if we don't see them, they see us. So if we stumble into them, if we would get sick, you know, or if we happen to damage their property, we don't know. Again, they see us, we don't see them. Remember, we lived in a world that it coexists. They mirror each other. And if we don't see their world, if we stumble into the world, we broke their property, we hurt their loved one, then yes, we will get sick. It will cause us illness to us, so that it's almost like now that we damage them, or now that we may have harmed their loved one without knowing it, then, you know, it causes illness to us, to a point where if we don't go fix it, it will be life for life. Or you know, if we know how to fix it, then we negotiate, and we will pay for what damages that we do, so that they can relieve your soul. Because a lot of the time we stumble to them, they capture your soul, and that's why it makes you sick. Okay, that's called the you know, nature's, you know, we have soul of that guidance, or spirits that guides certain parts of the forest, you know. And they can be spirits of certain thing, you know, like they can be a great guardians of the forest, and we don't know. And we may, if you're a hunter, you don't know, you hunt them for, normally when they're really there are guardians of certain place. And if you are a hunter and you go to those places, you should know they would have make something for you to see it, and you should not proceed. Okay, so you should have known already. But if you don't, you continue to pursue, then what happened is, you know, your soul will be captured, and it will cause illness to you. And if your soul's been captured, you don't get, sometimes you get sick right away. Sometimes it'll take a few months or a few years before you truly experience that. Okay. And then, aside from that, we have the evil spirits who are just out there to harm people. We will look for those, you know. Like, you know, people talk about sleep paralysis, you know. A good example is sleep paralysis. In scientific terms, you know, they feel that your body shuts down, and so you that's why you can't move yourself for that split of second. As a shaman, we don't see that as your body shutting down. We see that you are now being exposed to evil spirits who dwells and suck the human energies. At that instant, and they lived. That's how they live, and that's how they coexist. Is that they suck human energies. In that instance, it sucks your energy. That's why you can't breathe. And as soon as you able to move, that particular spirits left, you know. And so that's how they feed on human, and that's how they coexist. That's how they lived on. They feed on human energies. And so for us, we call it chua, right? But the American term is sleep paralysis. And so we need to look into this. People who experience this, we need to do a shamanic healing, and we have to go through a trance, and we have to negotiate. We have to send this individual off, this spirit off, and we have to close all the gates, and, you know, make all the portals, making sure that that individual's that evil spirit is not going to be able to come back and able to find this individual. So as a shaman, as a Hmong shaman, these are what we as a shamans heal, and how we assess them. We go through levels, and then making sure that, you know, if we stumble to one thing, let's just say, for example, if we look at it and we say, oh, it does not have to do with your soul. Okay, it has to do with your ancestral burial sites. we don't just stop there. We also look further to see if there's anything else, you know. And so if there is anything else, then we can truly conclude that yes, it has to do with your ancestor burial site. But if we also find out that, oh, you know, not only your ancestor site, but you know, there's been a disturb in your house spirits, then we also have to fix the house spirits as well when we do the shamanic trance and healing. So that was pretty much what we as Hmong shamans does, and how these really impact the mental health of the individuals or us in the physical world. It's because all of these play a big part in the spiritual world, and it plays a big part in us as an individuals. And so we all interrelated, we all link. And so once it's not in sync in the spiritual side, it definitely causes a misfortune in the physical. The spiritual side will always be out of sync first before the physical side. So if anything that happened in the physical world right now, you are experiencing it, it's because your spiritual side has been out of sync for a while now that you experience in the physical world. So I just want to kind of let you, before I conclude on that, I want to let you guys know that is that because the spiritual world and the physical world coexist, and so they have to be in sync in order for us to live harmony. If it's not, it will be the spiritual side first that it is really out of sync before you notice impact in the physical world. Okay, as a Hmong shaman, you know, we assess the soul of the individuals. We look into the gray burial sites of your ancestral. We look to make sure your family or your lineage does not experience any tragic death. We looked into the ancestor or the spiritual house spirits. We looked into all the spirits in you know, that nature spirits, where it's like guardians of the forest, guardians of the rivers, the cave, you know. Then we assess, and then we looked into the evil spirits, you know, who really just out there to harm people. Have you stumbled to them? Did they capture your soul? And as a Hmong shaman, these are what we assess, and these are what we fix. We have to go through a trance in order for you to fix this. A lot of this, if you don't go to trance, you cannot fix the spiritual world. You will not be a shaman unless you go through trance and you're able to cross over to the spiritual world. If you cannot cross over to the spiritual world, you cannot be a shaman, and you will not be identified as a shaman. You could be a sorceress, you could be a fortune teller, you can be a witch, you can be whatever, but you cannot be identified as a shaman. And that's just how our Hmong shamans see and practice. Okay. Other than that, you know, that concludes my presentations. If you guys have any questions, it's almost like we already kind of passed our time a little bit. If you guys have any questions, I can answer a couple of those for you guys.
Any questions? That was a lot of information, but I agree. So, question. Yeah. There's this thing back in my utility, nonprofit. Where's your nonprofit located?
We're located right off I-5 and Freeport. So if you guys can, you know, we have a website that you guys can, if you type United Hmong Shaman Temple, it'll go directly to our website, and all the information is there. We have contact information there. Unfortunately, I couldn't share my presentation with you, so you don't have.
It didn't come through, but I will share it with them once it comes through.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. I can definitely make sure that you know, my presentations come through to you guys, so that if you can, you know, have the information, you can reach out to us. As a young shamans, and for the next generation or these generations, my recommendation is, the first thing is that when you know that you have a spiritual calling, the first thing first is make sure you're willing to embrace the path that you are going. That is the first rule. if you embrace it, willing to take that path, you are ahead of many of the shamans who's not willing to embrace and taking that responsibilities. Okay. Anybody else have any question?
Any other questions? Yes.
It's okay, I will ask it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Hello. So I just have one quick question about an event that happened to my cousin
Mhm.
about like 5-6 years ago. So her name is Maiva,
Mhm.
and she had a different name before that name, but my grandpa changed her name to Maiva because I guess like an evil spirit like got into her and caused her to have like a what's it called, like a personality disorder,
Mhm.
to have her like act like
Almost like being possessed.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Mhm.
So I was wondering if you could kind of explain that process and explain like why your grandpa had to like change her name and all that
Mhm.
stuff.
So we usually, when someone's is being possessed, like you said, that causes the persons to have what if you go to, it would say multiple personalities. That's what they would say, or being possessed is that once you change the names, it no longer can find you. Your names is your identities, and that's why your grandpa changed your cousin's name, is because once they change that name, that individuals cannot find you no more. That evil spirits cannot find you. They cannot locate you anymore. We usually recommended that once you change that name, never call the old name again, because it could trigger them to kind of like, oh, did you hear that it's the same person's, and that's how they able to trace it back, you know. So once you change the names, you continue with the new names, and don't call the old names. And the name was really to confuse the spiritual, the evil spirits, so they don't know who you are no more. Even though they notice that you look the same, but how come the name is not the same anymore? You know. So it is a way to confuse the evil spirits. You know. Yeah. And
What was your journey to become a shaman?
oh, what was what?
What was your journey to become a shaman?
So my journeys are very difficult. I have to tell you guys that I have very difficult journey, because when I first realized that I have a spiritual calling, it's at an early age, and so I continue to prolong it until I got married and I have kids, and then I becomes very, my spiritual calling is very, it deal a lot more, not so much of the physical illness, but more of a mental illness. You know, I have I hear voices, so I tell you guys that I hear voices. I have guidance who give me, or who predict what's gonna happen, and I tend to kind of know what's gonna happen. I just thought I was good. That's all. You know, I just thought I was really good, and but as time go by, as I'm getting older, I got married. I become more. I have a lot more mental issues, such as, like I said, I started having a panic attack. It's almost like a panic attack out of nowhere. I start having anxiety out of nowhere. I hear voices that keep telling me to now that I'm already a master of myself. That's why every of the new shamans, I always explain to them that now that I am a master for almost 20 years now, thinking back, even though we have a lot of good spirits that comes tell us or guide us, we also have a lot of bad spirits and energy that come through the same times. And they already, they tells me, they meaning the evil spirits, already tell me to kill myself, suicide, tell me to jump off the bridge, tell me to jump up to the river. But I always tell my husband that I'm just too dumb to even understand what they're trying to tell me, And so now that I'm a master, I realize that, wow, they've been telling me to suicide, to kill myself many times, but I could not comprehend enough to do that, you know. And so for those of you that are that's why I told you guys that my journey was bad, because it was more of a psychological types of calling, and it's not like physical pain. A lot of calling can come in different form. People who have calling through physical pain, meaning their hand, their arm, their hand just hurt, like all broken down, you know, or they have sickness like cancer into the bodies, or the kidney is about to fail, or stuff like that. More of that type of issue, where mine is really dealing with my mental issues, my mental health. It tells me that, you know, a voice is telling me, hey, my husband doesn't love me. Even if I jump off the bridge, no one's gonna come look for me. If I don't come home, no one's gonna look for me. That's why mine was a lot more torturous, because I couldn't understand any of those, you know. I could not comprehend it, you know. And I could not, because during my generation, it was my parent generation, a lot of them converted to Christianity. So I couldn't locate shamans to support me, to help me. So I suffered many years on closed door, to a point where I start I start again, like I told you guys, I start experiencing panic attack. I start experiencing anxiety, and then when I have my anxiety and my panic attack becomes so bad, I have vision of the future, you know. That's when I realized that something is wrong with me, but it's not, because you know, I see vision, and those vision come true. And that's when I told my husband that, you know, I know that it seems like something's wrong with me, but you know, I want to go seek for shaman's help, because prior to that we keep going to the hospital, and all I get was medications to suppress my anxieties, my panic attack, and doctor couldn't figure out what happened to me, because every time I have gone to the hospital so much that I become their regular. They know me by name. When anytime I show up, they know exactly what my symptoms are, and doctor tell me they could not help me anymore. And then when it gets so bad, I couldn't work for years. You know, I stayed home for years, and when I start seeing vision after vision, that's when I realized that, you know, maybe I'm not really sick. Something is telling me something. So I seek for a shaman to help me, and he did. But what happened is that, because my shaman spirit was so different from his, he told me I'm going to die because I've been exposed to evil spirits. And he gave me the exact date that I'm going to die, the exact time that I'm going to die. And I am so scared. The reason why I believe him so much, because I walk into his house. I didn't tell who I am. I didn't tell him when I born, time I born. He know exactly where I born, time I born, year I born. He was exactly know who I was before I'm a human, you know, form. And so he tells me things that make me a believer that I am going to die on the day that he predicted. And I came home, and during those times I was a lot younger. I couldn't speak clear Hmong. So I called my mom, my dad up, and I told the shaman that, you know, I'm going to have my parent call him, because I couldn't understand what he was trying to tell me. Well, all the informations that he gave it to me, I cannot comprehend it. It's just too much for me. And so I have my parent call him, and he explained exactly what happened. So I have him come to my house the next day to do a spiritual healing for me. And so I was able to, after he did the spiritual healing, I actually feel much better. I feel good, like a month. You know, I was back to myself again. I was feeling good. I can eat. I can walk outside. I've been in a sofa for over a year that I could not walk outside. And I was able to get up from my sofa, go outside for about a month. And then I went right back to my own self. I become really ill again. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't eat. I couldn't go to work again. And so that, and then I seek for another shamans. This time I seek for another shamans, and that time she told me that I have spirits calling me, you know. And so she said if I feel better, I just need to practice, you know. And so I actually feel better in 3 days. I feel better. And so I tell her that, okay, then I'm happy to practice. This time I know I'm not gonna die. I was so excited that I'm not going to die. I'm willing to take this path and I'm gonna practice, you know. But I didn't know how difficult it is going to be and how much time that I have to devote my times to the community. The minute I decided that I am gonna be a shaman, I'm gonna walk on this path because I know not going to die. I'm gonna be a wife to my husband. I'm gonna be a mom to my children. I'm gonna be able to live a normal life like I used to in the past. I was willing to embrace my new path, and I worked so hard on it. Within a year, I'm able to heal people, and I'm able to cleanse people, and I'm able to tell people things that they don't know. What they never told me, I'm able to tell them. And so I embrace this path, but I never know that once I embrace this path, my time is no longer mine. It is now my time is the community. And I spent a great numbers of hours with the community. My house, it's like the little clinics for people to come and get support and get help. Every night people be in my house. People who walked the path and could not find anyone, or they have difficulty because they people couldn't sleep because they walk in a path that they can't comprehend. They will come to my house and sleep my house for days until they feel better and they can go home. So when I walk on this path, I didn't realize that I have to be in this great length to really, get to where I am. And that's why 6 years ago I start seeing a lot of young people who had spiritual calling, and their parent could not help them, and it drives them mentally nuts. They become crazy. They go to mental institutions, and it reminds me when I was in their stage, that I almost went to a mental institution because if I wasn't as strong mind as I was, and I would have, my husband and my family would have put me into a mental institution. And once I'm in a mental institution, there's no way out for me anymore. But because I was able to comprehend it a little bit better than some of the younger generations, I was able to pull myself out from these mental issues, and I was able to practice my shamans, that I now able to say that I'm pretty much, I don't experience that anymore, so that's when I open my organization. I established my organizations, and my goal is really to guide those young people. I don't need to be their master. If they want me to be their master, there's a lengthy process to be my student. So I don't take a lot of students per year. 2 to 3 students per year is the most that I take, because again, my time with the community, and then of course I'm still a human, so I still have bills to pay, so I still have to work. So when they become my student, I really want to make sure that they succeed. So I usually take 2 to 3 students per year, and so I have students lined up for it. And those who are in need for it, then I usually guide them, recommend teachers or master who they can go ask to help them. Some of them, they're my students. Some of them are my colleagues, that can help them. So my organization is really here to help those who in need of understanding where they're going. We're trying to preserve the Hmong shamans, our practice and our belief, and educate the communities, educate the world, that those of you that are Hmong, or those of you that know about the Hmong culture, is that we Hmong people don't have written language until maybe 60 years ago, and so everything is always storytelling. Not only that, it's because of this shaman practice, or this shamanisms that or shaman practice that we had, that make us that we were able to coexist with society. Because in the old day, the shaman is the healer, the shaman is the medicine doctors, the pharmacist, and also the astronomer, and the meteorologist. They're pretty much all of those. They're the chief in the, or in the village. People sick, they go talk to that person. They need some herbal medicines, they go talk to the shamans. The land's been dry for many years and there's no water, no rain, they go talk to the shamans. If they're going to be in an eclipse, the shamans would let them know, hey, they're going to be in an eclipse. And so the shaman, it truly is used for many different purpose in the old day. Here in America, of course, there's so many varieties of information and technologies that the shamans is used. We still use the shamans in our Hmong community, very similar to that. But there are things that we shaman know. We don't just go out there and start talking to people about it, because we don't want them to think that we are crazy. A good example is like COVID-19. We know that this is happening and this is coming way before the COVID hit. But we can't go out there and telling people that, hey, there's going to be a illness that will be very contagious and will cause lots of deaths to the world. People would think that we're crazy, because the thing that we see, people don't see. So everything that we see, we can only say it to those within our little communities. Those, even my own community, only within certain group of people I can share that. And what I mean by that is people who within my room and understand me, so like I would tell my family, I would tell my friends and family, relative, those who believe me and those who trust me, that, hey, there will be this kind of illness that is coming. Make sure you have water, make sure you have plenty of dry fruits, make sure you have this and that. And so we were able to prepare ourselves for something like that. And then like the flood here in California, we're able to, that we just have recently, we're able to tell our loved one that, hey, this year from November to January, make sure you have plenty of food, make sure you have water, make sure you have candles, because there will be a flood. And we don't know how big the flood is, but there will be flood. They mentioned that we need water, so make sure you have water, because we don't know if it's going to cost the, life blackout to the whole state of California. So make sure you have those necessities, So things like this, we are aware ahead of times, and we were able to say this to those who are close around us, So that's why in the old day, the shaman was used for, again, to heal as a healer, as a medicine doctor or pharmacist, as the astronomer, and as the meteorologist, and many more, And it's because they're able to, we know what we would say in Hmong is that, so what does that mean? That we know when the life of the act life of we know how the life how the life between lifeline link or lifeline between the physical and the spiritual world going to shift. Any shift will cause certain misfortune in the physical world. And because we know that, we're able to use it to benefit the physical world, but only within a certain community and within a certain radius, because the shamans, what we see, not everybody see. So we have to say it, and we have to our information can only go to certain group of peoples or within certain radius, because we don't want to, first of all, we don't want to scare people. That's one thing. Secondly, we don't want people to think that we're crazy because they don't see what we see. They don't know what we know. They don't hear what we hear. So we always have to be very cautious of the information that we shaman give it to the community. Because unlike the meteorologists where they have this big gigantic screen showing everybody that, hey, the rain is coming, and so we don't have that. We only see the visions. So what we see, not everybody can see. So as a shaman, it takes us to, we have to really think, and we really have to comprehend and be able to say it in a way that we don't scare people and that people understand us. Okay?
Oh my God, we'll leave it there. Basically, shaman knows all, and they have to be really gentle about it and make people feel calm.
Yes.
So much amazing vibratory health.
Yes.
So we are in the castle and we're going to do the Zoom and I forgot to say that I look like an idiot because I was too busy trying to figure out, getting everything in order. But thank you, and I will be in touch. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I mean, again, do visit us at, United Hmong Shaman Temple if you have any questions. We have any events, and we'll post it there. If anybody wants to kind of come to our events, feel free to, okay, or reach out to us at any time.
Thank you so much again.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful semester.